Alright, well, it's been a long time since I've done any kind of music production type of video, and I had a request to do a new one. And really the problem with that is that I was doing my videos is both part of my own exploration into making music and to help others with their own, of course. I mean, it's sharing what you've learned is what making the videos really about. And really, I've been focused on a lot of other things. I've been doing writing and doing videos and games and other stuff. I haven't really been focused on music all that much lately. I've been making music for games and stuff, but not really exploring any new avenues of creativity or anything. I've been applying all that into the other things. But I did think of one thing that I could share with you that I'm pretty sure I haven't done a video on yet that a lot of people would probably find useful, which is DIY mastering, do-it-yourself mastering. Now, you're never going to be able to do a better job than an actual mastering studio or mixing, proper engineers that have equipment and years of knowledge behind them. But I have been using this method for quite a while myself, so this isn't just something I came up with out of my ass. It works, insofar as it does what mastering is supposed to do at its most base level, which is increase the volume without destroying the sound of the track in question, and getting more dynamics and improving the overall sound. But really, mostly, it's about turning it up in the overall track. So as you can see here, I've got a song here. It's called Jumping Jewels. It's just some one-off thing that I made when I was just screwing around. I think it's kind of like a Caribbean vibe sort of thing. And as you can see here in the waveform here, this is one of the things that Acid Studio Music Studio or Acid software is really good at, is just being able to very easily drop a track in and then see what it looks like. You can see that it's very small, and if I were to go ahead and toss in, let me pause this right quick and I'll drop in a proper song for you to look at. Okay, so this is Resco's Woo Boost, and as you can see, it is pretty much all the way out. I mean, the volume levels are maxed all the way along, and that's what real mastering does, that you would have to really pay for, is that it allows you to do this without really losing too much. Now, I cannot show you how to do this 100%. I can only show you how I do it and get it loud, get something approximating this, but without having to spend a small fortune to do it, because obviously if you're watching this video, you can't afford to pay people to master your songs. You're wanting to learn a way to do it yourself, if you can afford to do it, because proper mastering is something that takes a lot of time, and to really do it to the best possible quality, engineering, equipment, hardware. But you can at least get an approximation doing what I'm going to show you right now. So enough bullshit, and let's just get into it. So I've already got the effects turned on here. So I've got a compressor, an equalizer, stereo expander, another compressor, and then a maximizer, which is basically a limiter, but it's made for mastering, and all of these are free VST plugins. The M suite of plugins, I'm not sure what company I got those from. I think it's in here somewhere. Melda Production Audio Technology, so meldaproduction.com for that. Endorphin compressor, and the TLS maximizer. I'm not sure where I got this one from, but you should be able to find them. Just look it up. So I don't always use double compressors. It just depends. Sometimes I like to use a pre-compression and then, then put any effects I'm going to use on it on, because there are different effects you can apply. In this case, I'm just going with something real simple, so you can also use things like expanders. I like, there's one I came across called Excita, but I don't always get really good results with those because they're so finicky. I kind of prefer to just stick with something simple and leave it at that, just because what I'm really trying to do, of course, is, again, turn up the volume to get more of a baseline, as close to zero as possible, but I actually prefer to not hit zero. I prefer to stay a little bit under it and not squash the hell out of all the dynamic range, which is all of the little spiky bits here. This is actually a pretty good one because it's pretty level throughout. It doesn't, it doesn't have big, huge, spiky bits all over the place, but it does have some. I like to keep that stuff in, personally. So, the first thing, and I just use presets, because, I know, yeah, you should learn how to use all this shit properly, but the presets work for me, especially doing this stuff. So, for this, I just used its preset master -6, so we can listen to it with that turned off. Move this over a bit here. Then turn it on. It's already a bit louder. Okay, the equalizer. So this one I would also start with a preset called Mastering Starter. I tend to go a little too hot on my upper end stuff when I'm mixing. It's just a quirk of mine, I guess, so I tend to turn that down. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to go ahead and throw in. Let me pause this right quick and do that. Hold on, and I'll tell you what I'm doing. Alright, so I added in a new equalizer at the beginning to roll off the really low frequencies. I usually go around 40 hertz. For something like this, I might want to actually drop it down to 30-ish. But this way, this just kills off all those bass frequencies that don't add anything to the track, really. They add more energy without making it louder. So, again, we can probably see a difference in the EQ over here. Then turn it on. And it's just rolling off some of these really low frequencies. Just cutting them out. Saves a little bit of headroom for us in the end. Really doing exactly what I wanted it to do. That might be a little harsh. Basically, that ought to be right. Stereo expander on. Again, I just use the preset. It works. Gets the job done. That just makes it sound a little bit fatter. And we can use endorphin, which again, There's three presets here. Add more density seems to work pretty well if you want it really loud and punchy. I mean, they do what's on the label. I mean, they're very good presets. So we're getting, I'd say our bass sounds just fine. Kind of the Jamaican Caribbean vibe sort of sound. It sounds pretty good, so let's just increase the gain up. Okay, so that sounds about right. So now let me pause this, I'll render it out and then show you the difference. Alright, and here you go. Pretty obvious difference. Now, you know, I could have pushed it even further with that limiter and really, you know, tried to get it right up there to the edge and done more like that Rusco track. But, like I said, I don't like doing that. This way of doing mastering is not the best way to try and just do a hard limit and cut off, you know, and just get that big, huge sound. You can do it just fine. I mean, I can go ahead and pause it and show you that. You know, basically all you do is, let's see here. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And we'll go ahead and, let's find a loud part, a loud-ish part. The track right there. Already got it loud. Basically, we just increase it up until it's pretty much red line the entire time. Alrighty, and again you can see the difference here pretty easily. Much smaller, much bigger, and then really big. And even then I'm still not pushing it all the way out, but using this method, I don't even like going this far, but that's about as far as I would want to go without having better mixing and mastering hardware and tech and knowledge backing me up. Because as is, at this level of volume, I could already hear some things that in the mixing I probably should have ironed out a little bit better. There's just a few spots that were starting to sound a little bit off when they got real loud, which is a problem with my mixing, obviously, not the method. So, because like I said, this was just a one-off track. It was just something I threw together, and I'm using it because I never did anything with it to do the mastering, so it was a good example track. So if I went back through, remixed it to sound better, and then did all this all over again, it would probably sound a lot better. Well, it definitely would sound a lot better at this level of volume. But, you know, this is how you would do your own mastering with pretty much entirely free methods, because you could do this with a completely free copy of pretty much any music production software that has a free version. because you only need to be able to work with one track to do this. Because actually one of the problems with this is that these are MP3s that I've rendered out as. So if I was rendering it as WAV files, because MP3 is already cutting things out, so I should have done this with WAV files. But for just as a tutorial video, this works just fine, because the method isn't going to change. The only thing that I would really add to it is, I don't have the plugin in this computer, but I've started using a bass plugin that pushes the bass from one specific frequency all the way down. It pushes the bass to the center channel, which is good especially for anything that's real bass heavy, because your bass should be centered, generally speaking. If you're doing something like classical music, you might have it off to one side to simulate the fact that the strings are usually off to one side or the other. I'm not sure in an orchestra are the bass in the middle. Not usually. I think the woodwinds are usually in the middle, but then the bass are raised towards the back, so it could be. I'm not sure. Doesn't really matter. I forget the name of it, but just kind of look up bass centering plugin or something like that. That should probably find it for you. And other than that, I've tried using a bunch of fancy, with the bunny ears there, fancy plugins that are supposed to do all sorts of shit for you. And in the end, none of them really add a whole lot to the track that you can't get just by doing better mixing. So they were crutches. I got rid of them and focused more on doing my mixing better. That improved my overall sound quality. So now I just focus on doing these little things like the stereo expander. That just gives you a bigger, fatter sound overall. So I've never found any issue with using that. But mostly just, going in and like this starter mastering thing, and just being able to yikes. Just being able to go through and see what the track is doing and being able to tweak the whole thing if necessary, because this is really what you want to look for in a good song that's been mixed properly. Is it should start, the bass should be pretty loud and then roll down. So I think that covers the topic. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.